Okay, Scott knows how to count 5, 4, 1.
That's why our enemies don't go down. He's
Yeah.
like, let's see, what health are they on? It was 30, now it's 10. Must be 30 again.
Shut up, Neil. Why are you so mean to me? All right. So when we last left off, you guys were I was having one was riding off into the sunset to go be the champion by himself, and the two of you were left behind. What do we do?
Yes.
Valorant stretches after waking up, arriving, waking up, getting knocked out, and waking up again. He's sort of out of it a little bit.
He's still very hurt, right?
Oh, I'm at full health. He's very hurt.
Again, as a reminder, you haven't seen Valorant in over a month and a half.
Yeah, and that still hasn't probably clicked because he's just been knocked out and woken up again.
Raren, will sort of limp over. You see there's some residual burns on his body. His cloak's still smoking.
Oh, the other thing is you'll notice that Valorant is wearing different clothes. Much finer make than before.
And has a sword.
Oh yeah, he would have the sword strapped to his back.
What? Raren will come up until he's half a meter in front of Valorant. Look at him. Look him in the eye. Bastard. And then grab his arm, put it round his shoulder, and help him towards this other person. So you decide to come back and be the hero, do you?
Yes, and then promptly pass out. Oh.
What happened? We heard you were in a town called Vigil.
Yes, not really by choice. Though not entirely. It's complicated. I was researching, following tracks. Then I was caught in the crossfire of a fight and knocked unconscious. While they did save me, they also locked me up until they knew who I was. Quite aggressively locked up.
This is a bloody mess. Maybe you should take some guards with you next time you go out following footprints.
You know, that may not be a bad idea. I'm not used to being a high priority for anyone.
Well, it made an awful lot more work for me and Juan. We were worried about you, you know. We couldn't come and get you because things were... He stops walking for a moment, looks at Val and says, heating up here.
Val does the laugh, cough, blood, laugh. Yes, well, if you think it's complicated now, the soldiers that came with me to help will make it even more complicated.
You brought soldiers? You stopped back at Kurzweil?
No. The soldiers came straight from Vigil with me.
Oh.
It was part of their offer to return me. They offered to provide me with soldiers and return me straight to this combat.
Well, they did a great job of safeguarding you. Look, Valorant, you'll have to tell me the rest of the details when Juan is here. But now that you've told me that, I feel we should swiftly finish here and make our way to the front. There may still be some fighting left, but more importantly, there may be another fight about to break out if one catches sight of a bunch of armored soldiers bearing the sigil of Lady Arabelle.
Yes, I believe you are correct. Yes, and is the person carrying the body of the other one coming anytime soon?
I mean, yeah, they'd be coming along with you. Like they tied up the other two orcs that were passed out from the sleep spell that you had opened with, Raven. They tied them up. Sorry. They tied them up, and more or less just in time as they're like waking up, because like I said before, there were just a couple rounds left of the sleep spell. So they're kind of like, but you know, you realistically only need 1 or 2 orcs to kind of like watch after that. The one guy running off. The others would have joined. Should have had 3 of the soldiers kind of accompanying you guys, and that guy's corpse littered with arrows. They would have draped over a horse to make sure that it could, you know, be like brought along without having to carry a dead body. And the 2 of you would also, they would retrieve horses from wherever in the town. It's one of those, like, here's a horse, and grab it and bring it over, because you're the rulers of this town and you're injured. So, rulers of their town. So
can we
you're
quickly,
injured.
we can loot the body later.
Correct, yeah, we can worry about that stuff afterwards.
Agreed.
So you guys go mounting onto your horses with the dead body on top of the 3rd horse, and the 3 soldiers are walking alongside you. Or like
There would be a very brief. Wait, who's that guy? Because he appeared way after I was out. And then moving on. We'll skip that part.
What's his significance? All right. So it's funny because Valorant would have missed the heating up reference.
Yeah. Well, no. Well, you probably see the burn marks on him.
He was glowing. Come on.
Sorry, I just keep coughing. I do apologize.
It's okay, you know. As you get on a little bit, your chest becomes a bit more, you know.
So the the walk that you guys are going on to bring you to the front lines pulls the camera from you, zooms it ahead over to 1, making your way over to where it is that the the front lines are. What you notice as you're riding up, you notice there are soldiers that are so the soldiers behind the wall are barely holding it together. They are about to be completely overrun. There's already a bunch of soldiers on this side of the wall that have broken its way through and are just devastating the defenses.
You mean orcs?
Walls. Soldiers, orcs, whatever.
You're gonna have to like make sure you're specific.
So you go riding up with the head of Orsugo and holding up in the air. How do you make this announcement that?
Well, first, as I am approaching on horseback, his body's being dragged behind. I have his head held up. I use the mama's ruff again and let out that same scream from before.
All right.
So,
do you want to roll an intimidation check for me?
do you need a bluff first, then intimidation, or do you just want to just make it into one?
You can do the bluff first, just to make sure it sounds accurate.
Okay. Where is it? Okay. So it's plus 10, so that's just a 20.
And roll me your intimidation.
And what he would say, actually, after his scream, he just kind of like yells in Orcish, "Your burning blood is dead." He's a pathetic weakling. He literally says, "You are mine now." And that's his intimidation. So he's going to roll that, try and get their attention.
Okay.
And he's holding Orsugo's head, obviously, above as well. Do I get any pluses to my intimidate check?
I have the DC set in my head.
Alright. So I am going to take a 10 on it.
Damn it.
So it's a 24. And I'm also going to luck it if do we have any luck left? I don't think we do, actually.
I don't know. You have to roll it to find out. I honestly
I'm
forget.
going to find out. I don't think we do.
No, I think we do because
That's the
No,
last
there's
one.
0.
That's the last
Oh,
one.
that was the last one. So 25.
Okay, 25 total. So you go up there,
Yep.
and then, Ursugo dead, and like that whole speech and everything, and hold the head up into the crowd. Now, as you were riding up there, like I said, they were already, looked like your defenses were about to lose the combat. But soldiers were approaching, right as you say that. And they had been approaching behind these orcs, which their focus is forward. Their focus is break this line, get in there. So they didn't notice the lineup of soldiers. That they didn't come wading right into combat. It's not like they came running in and just started stabbing these from behind. They lined up rows behind where the orcs were. And this is what they were doing as they were distracted. And kind of like stood there waiting for the command forward. And then the command was given, as you approach, to start marching forward. As they start, like, marching forward and getting ready to attack the orcs from behind. As you go rushing up and, like, distract everything, the fighting kind of, like, slows down a bit as you say that. You know what I mean? It's kind of like, Orsugo's dead, blah, 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 blah. And they're like, oh, shit. Kind of like, Orsugo's dead. Do we stay and fight? Do we leave? Like, there's that moment of confusion. Then right as that moment of confusion happens, all of a sudden there's... Gah! As all the soldiers from behind start stepping up and gah, 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 and killing all of the orcs. The orcs, if they had the intention of screw it, let's keep fighting anyways, because they're led by Orsugo, and that's probably the tactic he would have used, or if somebody, I'm the de facto leader now, or doesn't matter, because they're getting slaughtered from behind. They were distracted. The soldiers came up behind him, and they're just like raining arrows and for the along the wall. Dropping all of them there, and they're stabbing the ones that are still a bit behind the wall, like on their side, and killing them. Immediately, soldiers on your side are going to pick being invigorated, morale boosted by holding the head, the leader is dead, all that stuff. They're also going to like fight back with a greater fury, and they're going to kill. In the end, none of those orcs really are going to survive this day. I mean, they are just going to get slaughtered. I mean, there's going to be casualty orcs, like, okay, he was technically alive, but he's missing his leg from the knee down, might as well just, finish him off, sort of a thing. Have modern medicine like we do here. So, so you just slaughter all the orcs. And that happens, that latter part of the battle, now that these other soldiers have engaged, happens very quickly. We're talking within minutes. But what you notice during that time, as this is unfolding in front of you, is that the soldiers that are there are 3 bannermen. One sits on a horse nearby, the clear leader amongst them, and there are others that are on foot that are on the left and the right flank that are like the bannermen for each kind of like group that's over there. And the banners that you see are very clearly the banner of... Wait, is that... It's so confusing for a second. It's not Paradel, but Vigil. Once again, they have the 3 triangles. The triangles are shaped kind of differently and so on and so forth. So because the 3 triangle setup, it makes you think of Paradel for a moment. Then you realize, no, it's Vigil. And you also notice, as soldiers are fighting, on the back of every cloak, of the ones that are wearing their cloaks, because not every soldier is, but it is wintertime, so many of them are, is the sigil of Lady Aravel Darkeyes on all of them. The battle...
Is Leon Jaeger in sight?
What?
Is Leon Jaeger visible?
He's the one that gave the order for the opportunity to be seized, to continue the battle, fighting back and killing all the orcs. So it's a proper pincer tactic, using the wall as kind of like the wall you'd squash a bug against. I imagine you approach him during this battle.
Whilst like the orcs are being cleaned up and seeing what's going on, he would yell out to Leon. He kind of like snarl, and he'd literally just say, "Reform the line."
Okay.
And he'd start, yeah, like riding. If there was a line, spears, whatever, he would square off against whoever they are.
So again, you're on this side of the wall, though the wall is very broken. They're on that side of the wall. There's a line of mostly dead orcs between the 2 different lines. As he's calling for orders, we lined up. Your soldiers are, let's say, lacking in numbers. The death toll was devastating. Once you guys realized how many orcs there were, the idea was, hopefully we'll survive this day versus we've got this, we're winning this day. So you know that clearly your soldiers are outnumbered by theirs and outclassed by theirs. However, they are lining up, looking tired, doing what they're told, have their spears and everything at the ready, as you're starting to like ride alongside them. The 2 of you, moving much slower, are approaching as the battlefield is finally coming to a close. You see the last of the orcs are being killed by the soldiers of Vigil, and you see that your soldiers are kind of like lining up, preparing for combat.
You also see one cut the rope pulling Osugo's body, and he also just throws the head to the side while he's seems to be like trying to get a formation, and he's just riding in front of the formation, squaring off in front of these other people.
Okay.
That's what you would approach to.
The two of you approach from behind, and you're welcome to kind of like join into the fray. But because you're riding ahead of everything, you would see that, as I said before, there was a group of people on horses before. They're sitting on their horses because they had kind of like gathered up and whatever, situated themselves. There's three of them. They're going to start riding, breaking through the lines, riding up to meet with you on the other side. So you have three horsemen. One's a bannerman. One you imagine is kind of like a squire or a second, and then you imagine the commander of the troop comes riding up to you. No weapons out. As a matter of fact, they didn't have weapons out during the combat, so they don't have weapons out now. They just ride up to you. Does one speak first, or does he allow them to...
Sorry, I thought you were talking to the other two.
No,
they approached
they're
me.
behind your lines. Mm-hmm.
We're not there yet. We're coming.
As they approach, he would yell to the soldiers, ready the crossbows.
You yell the soldiers ready the crossbows. Obviously,
Yeah.
they hear that. And so the leader amongst them would say, I imagine you are chosen of the blade.
I imagine you're a servant of evil.
He chuckles when you say that. And continues his ride forward. Again, it's not an aggressive ride. It's a trot forward to meet up with you. And the three of them continue to trot.
Can we hear the ready the crossbows?
You are behind your own line, able to walk through it. You would definitely hear it because they all hear it.
Oh, then, yeah, Valor would be like, stop, like coughing while he's trying to scream loud because he's not doing well.
Rary would shout, "Make way!" And if you don't make way, there's a horse kicking you.
Yep. So they would get out of the way, and the two of you can kind of like kick it up and like make that last little ride a bit faster to get out there. The two of you, do me a favor, roll me a perception check.
So every time you say perception, I have to double check because it's underneath like a massive like description of damage, so I can barely see it, and I'm like, oh, there it is.
Oh yeah, that's right. Because that one friggin' effect. So we could probably move where that is to a less obnoxious spot. But for you, Neil, your perception check as you're going make way, and you kind of like looking along lines, you see that trying to catch your attention is Leon. He tries to catch your attention, and he gestures towards the soldiers that are on the other side of the battlefield, and he goes, and then gestures towards your line of soldiers, and goes like this.
Right, and I'll just nod, continue.
Okay, and you guys go riding forward. So he's trotting up to meet with you, one, and he's going to get with you. They're galloping. They're probably going to get to you about the same time that this guy is because they're moving much faster to do so. How does one... Does he allow them to approach, or does he...
Do you know how badly I just want to yell loose right now? Do you know how badly I want to yell that?
You do what you want to do.
You know what? I have an idea about how I can actually yell and have it sort of mean something. I'm gonna do this, except be yelling to stop. So do the martyr's sort of voice echoing stop thing. So it's like it's a yell, but it's like you hear my voice and another voice, much louder, and I just yell stop, hold.
So the exact opposite of that ability. That ability is bonus to attack rolls, and you're like, no, don't attack.
What it is
An enhanced voice. I got you.
Doing that effect, but I'm using the effect that is the actual like call.
No, I got you. It's just funny that because your character is so peace-minded, you know. Awesome, beautiful, love it. So he does that. Calls stop. 1. Obviously, you hear this, and I imagine
1
everybody
doesn't turn either.
Okay. Everybody's gonna.
How many are approaching, Scott?
3. No, none with weapons drawn. 2 of them are clearly warriors, and one of them is clearly a bannerman. I mean, bannerman can fight, but you hold the banner.
Rayron will say, as we get up close, he'll bring the horse in close to one, and he will say, "Remember that your actions here can kill more than just us now. Not only do they outnumber us, but our army is not where it should be to defend our people."
He turns to you and says, "These pitiful fools probably think to claim victory for themselves. It was our people and the people of Varen that won this battle. Why the fuck are they here?"
They came with me. They were delivering me back to you, and they offered me a choice. If I would take aid to the fight. I told them it would not win any favor with either of you, but I figured if I could help save some lives in doing so, it was worth it.
This is their recompense for earlier actions.
This is when he'll speak up, because obviously you whispered the first part, but the rest of it was loud. He'll say, "Recompense for which actions?"
Quiet.
Excuse me, this is not your land, and we
This
hold
is
equal
not
power
your
here.
land either, soldier. I would ask that you allow me to speak with my friends and fellow rulers. You will wait a moment for me. Thank you.
He'll nod.
1. He'll reach forward and place a hand on his axe hand and say, "The time for the blade has passed. The time for words is now. Think not of war, but of home and hearth."
1 turns his horse and starts riding back to the towards our warriors and just says, he just yells, "The battle is over. The victory belongs to both Varen and Curse Fall." And he yells that and then kind of spits behind him.
Thank you, soldier.
I am not a
I
soldier.
apologize.
I am the commander.
Thank you, Commander.
Am I not to speak to the 3 rulers of Valoran? I don't think you've heard the phrase Valoran before, Val.
I have.
Okay.
They tried to use it to put me off balance when they were intimidating me.
That might be your perception. That was not at all what they did.
Well, that is what he took from it.
Yeah,
That was
They use the
George's
correct
job.
phrase. They use the correct phrase to reference
Yeah.
your nation. Yeah. So he says, am I not to meet with the 3 rulers of Valoran?
Commander, what was your name?
Oh shit. Give me a second.
Cedric.
Cedric. I was like, to see Cedric.
Commander Cedric, you must forgive me. I am weary. I have just fought my way through several orcs of not the nicest variety. I would ask that you and your men camp here while we rest, at which point we can perhaps go about a diplomatic meeting. As for now, as I said, I am weary. I would appreciate it if you would allow me this reprieve.
He nods and says, "I look forward to meeting with all 3 leaders of Valoran tomorrow evening. Take your rest. I clearly see that you've enjoyed the glory of battle today."
I'm going to pull myself, because we're on horses at the moment, I'm going to pull myself forward just a bit and mention your men that were guarding me. They did not make it. We encountered an ambush on the way to the fight. I made it through, but as you can see, for the worse. I apologize. I can give you the location of the men or have them delivered to you.
We'll find the men. We'll have them properly prepared and brought back to their families. It's unfortunate that any innocents had to die today. They have their own families, their own goals, their own dreams. Unfortunately, they have fallen from this world. However, they will find themselves sitting comfortably with Lady Aravel Darkeyes in eternal servitude to the Great Lady. You're injured, please. And he draws from underneath his cloak, he pulls out a small potion and hands it to you.
Okay, I mean, I'm fairly certain this would not be the situation where they're like, and we poison you. But I am gonna do it.
What a twist!
To see what it is.
So you drink it?
Oh well, I was gonna say I'm just gonna look at it before I drink it.
Oh, sure.
Oh, that was weird. That went twice.
It's Cedric, by the way, not Cedric.
It's Cedric.
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 I've pronounced it Cedric the entire time.
Okay.
Like Cedric Diggory.
Okay, anyway, so I assume it's a healing potion. I'm just, if that's the case, I'm gonna drink it.
So anyways, it is a healing potion. You just don't know of what degree. And it's going to be a 3d8 plus 5. So more or less it'll heal you all the way.
Damn. Yeah. I mean, well, we'll see if I roll all the ones.
Yeah, you do tend to roll poorly.
Hey!
There you go. Cool. Actually, from negative, that would have brought you all the way to full, I think.
Yeah.
So he heals you all the way. He goes, of course, there is plenty of Lady Aravel's holy water that can be shared to the injured on the battlefield. We have brought vats with us to make sure that soldiers that fought bravely do not need to die this day, do not need to go home injured, do not need to limp off the battlefield, and can resume their lives as best as necessary. I'll have my soldiers prepare the medical tent, and I will have the draughts put ready for them.
I will then look at him and just remember what just remember what I told you about the winning of favor here today. As you've seen by one reaction already, tomorrow will be interesting.
It may not win you favor, but it will win you my thanks.
Yes.
There's no reason for more people to die on this field than necessary.
He nods, and he says, tomorrow evening, shall you host or shall we? We don't want to give the wrong impression.
I think it's best.
Perhaps the villagers of Veren may host both our parties on a more neutral ground.
He nods. Till tomorrow evening.
I'll do the bow and then the bow on a horse.
The horse bows too.
So I'm gonna get my horse back from one.
I imagine the two of you ride off back into the town.
Yeah, as we're going towards, like, before we get to one, I'll just go around. Like I said, complicated. So
after you guys kind of ride off a bit, he kind of watches afterwards. Obviously, you were the threat here, and watches after you a bit, and then he'll turn, get to his men, and have them immediately start setting up a medical tent for them to treat the wounded and whatnot. When you go back onto your side, do you guys share the word that they're setting up a medical tent?
Yep.
Yeah.
Bayron would speak to General Jaeger. He'd go up on the horse and he'd say, General, watch them carefully. And they are setting up a medical tent. See, those who need aid are well looked after.
I'll add, while I have yet to see, other than my initial meeting, any reason to trust them, I do still distrust. So, as Raywin said, watch them, but accept their aid.
He nods and says, they are not of our camp, and they are not our allies. Anyone who is not an ally is an enemy.
One is also, that's where he rode back to General Jaeger, so hearing you guys say that, he says, medical tent, what? They want to treat our wounded.
They want to treat the wounded.
He looks around, and how many roughly wounded do we have?
A lot. Do you mean borderline death, or do you mean like no? That'll be fine in a couple of weeks. Because a lot.
Like what our soldiers?
Oh, your personal soldiers? Oh, your personal soldiers. Let's see. You brought how many with you originally? Give me a second.
And they're all crossbowmen.
I believe you brought 20 with you originally. I think like
20.
yeah, and you already healed the one guy that got injured, so they kind of did have to get somewhat involved because of like the orcs coming up. I'd say 2 of them are pretty injured, but like they'll survive.
Okay. That's actually good for us. It's just heal the townspeople.
They were all ranged people. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because like I have something that I could heal a fair few people with, and I kind of want to do it, but at the same time, if there's like tens and tens of like wounded, I can't do it. So
there's a lot of wounded, a lot. Not to mention the damage that was done to the people that were injured by the fires, or just the people that are raiding inside the town before you guys got to them. There's a lot.
Yeah. One does turn to you guys, and he says, "These people are likely to try and claim some type of victory." He said, like he looks to you again, and he says, "This is not theirs to claim. This is ours. Our men." And our allies Varen held these lines. We killed Orsugo. When I got here, knowing these orcs, there's a chance I could have tried to take command. Never got the chance to test my theory. As I was about to, these people pincered them. So while they may have helped, this victory is not theirs. And we need to let Varen know that.
The people of Varen know already who it is that came to their aid, who it is that helped them in their hour of need. Words won't lie. They will be gracious for people for providing aid and help. But they're not so foolish as to be driven astray by something like this.
There is a certain camaraderie of fighting side by side, rather than at opposing lines. Even if they didn't clash arms with the men of Vigil, the fact that the men of Vigil didn't fight side by side should help our case in that regard.
They're all scum.
Careful now. Let's not start sounding too much like Orsugo.
If I want to sound like Orsugo, I just keep screaming.
Now,
I hear you're good at that.
now.
Now.
I was going to say, at one, they will likely will not. They will likely try to provoke you in a way that it will not be provoking. They wish to prove us wrong about Lady Eravale. Do not prove them right about us.
Fuck Lady Eravale. Spits on the ground.
Maybe not such a bad idea either.
Anyway,
Come, let us go find something to eat, and we can discuss this sitting down like civilized people.
Yes.
Maybe something to drink as well. He'd look
Someone should go check on, what's the leader of Varen? His name?
Hinter, Captain Hinter.
Yeah, somebody should go see if Captain Hinter survived.
Rayon would look at Leon. I'm sorry to impeach upon you further, but would you be able to locate the good captain at some point?
I'll send them soldiers immediately.
You're welcome to join us for refreshments when your work is done. Good work today, Leon.
It seems as though my work won't be done until we part ways with the other camp. He says, looking to one.
One claps him on the shoulder and says, "Watch well, my friend."
He nods, and you guys walk off. I imagine.
Before we walk off, Scott, I do want to loot Orsugo properly, please.
and I wish to loot the other guy.
I want to know what he's got on him. I don't want to let that go.
He wants to know what's it got in its pockets.
Well, we know he's got the shoulder thing, which is like the swift action.
Oh,
potion.
yeah.
Yep, he does have that. He has the masterwork shoulder to potion belts, which holds 3 potions in it. Any potion that's in it, you can consume as a swift action. So you just kind of like preload what potions you want in there. Placing a potion into it has to be carefully placed in, which takes a 1-round action. But more or less, you just do it out of combat, and then in combat as a swift action, you are able to, eat a potion, whatever. All right, moving on. After that. He has his battle axe, which you already took. He has a spiked chain, which you can easily grab. And he's wearing armor. He is wearing scale mail armor of well-crafted quality. He has nothing else with him. He has no coin with him, because he doesn't need it. He has no books with him. He doesn't read. He has no other potions with him, because he just drank them.
What about his witch?
His witch? Oh, the wizard. Gotcha. So the person that was with them that had written on the thing, they actually do have something with them. You find on their person a spell book. Now, immediately open up the spell book with Read Magic and kind of flipping through it. You immediately can tell the spell that they had cast, the spells they had cast, were clearly out of their capabilities.
We saw them with scrolls, yes.
Yeah.
But you had seen them with scroll. You also do find a scroll case on their person, and in that scroll case, you do find a couple more scrolls. Actually, all, by sheer coincidence, happen to be fire scrolls. You find the scroll of Burning Hands, a scroll of Scorching Ray, a scroll of Fireball, and a scroll of Flaming Sphere.
Give me a sec.
Scroll. What was the last one?
Flaming Sphere.
Okay, cool. You're adding that. Perfect.
Yeah, I'm trying to keep up.
So he had those 4 scrolls. He also had a spell book, which we can go over that one a little bit later, Neil.
Yeah,
But
sure.
he had a spell book with him. But the last thing that they had on their person is they actually had an amulet, which casting detect magic, which you guys can do. You notice that their amulet is magical. Right off the bat, Val is allowed to roll a check to see if he can figure out what it does.
Let's do this. It's a spellcraft. Oh, come on. It was like 19? Nah.
With detect magic, is any of Orsugo's stuff magical?
What is it? Orsugo's. None of his stuff was magical.
Damn.
Yep, none of it was magical.
Is the armor
It's a masterwork quality scale mail, and it's made out of good materials. Is all I'll say.
That is good. So it's a +1 AC and -1 armor checks.
not if it's master
Scale
craft?
mail
I don't
is-
think it's.
Scale mail is medium armor, and it has a +5 AC.
Nice. But
Yeah.
the masterwork quality means it like reduces armor check penalty checks by 1, right?
Yeah,
Correct.
yeah, that's what it does.
Yeah.
Does it? I wonder does it fit me, Scott?
It can, yeah. I mean, it won't just immediately by putting it on, but you could have people fix it for you.
Good.
I was
I'll
just
put it in my inventory. I wasn't going to, but anything
Yeah, they might.
that's better.
It's like
You're a half orc.
I walk around the corner and people just scream.
Oh, you already wear scale mail.
Yeah, but
I
like, I
do.
assume it's different colors and stuff. Like, I assume we
yeah.
would have it without.
Yeah.
like,
No, it is different colors, but it has different effects. So, for instance, this is what you can apply to your... Because you already have it on your armor, this is what it does. On your character sheet, the check penalty is actually reduced by 2 instead of 1. So it's actually... you just have to have it retailored to you to do this. So the ACP is going to be -2 instead of -4, which is nice.
Whew.
That's a big
That's
jump
nice.
for you, Jake.
Yeah.
And you see what that is that I'm talking about? It's right next to the
so
word
if I
medium.
just change that.
I believe so. I was right. Yep, perfect.
Yep.
And the other thing it does is this scale mail is designed in such a way that if you actually, if you stand still for longer than 1 round, meaning you don't move for longer than 1 round, so you go from beginning of a turn to beginning of turn, beginning of turn to end of next turn without moving 5 feet or more, you actually have your AC increased by 1. As kind of like the armor kind of like settles in place.
The line.
Yeah. So, but he kept taking free 5-foot steps, so he never got to take advantage of that. So, anyways, so that's what you get off of his body. And then you obviously got that necklace. You have to identify it later on. And anything else you guys want to do before you jump into like meeting time?
No, I don't think so.
No? Okay. So then when you guys step to the side, is there any immediate conversations you want to have, or are we just going to kind of like allow a little bit of time to pass before conversations take place?
We need to eat, drink, and discuss.
Yeah, I need to know about shit that's been going on with you guys. You need to know about what happened.
Sure. Why don't you guys have a quick little fill-in time explaining? So more or less, you guys settle into a spot. One is obviously in a dour mood, you know, with the shadow of Vigil casting its banner in your sunlight, and but otherwise, you guys are brought to a place where you can be fed appropriately, good food with wine, take the edge off, so on and so forth, and you can kind of engage in conversation. Who kicks this up?
I was going to say I have a way to break the ice. So I see you finally thought of a name for our
Fledgling nation.
Yeah, thank you, our nation.
Yes, we did in the end. Excuse me one moment. My phone is ringing.
Oh, what is a phone? What is this something new that I've missed out on?
It must be some type of magic trick.
Magus is on there. Shenanigans.
Some
I love how they
type of
both left at
message.
the same time.
Sending stone or something.
Interesting. Yeah, I'll the only stream now. Oh my god, that was so tense when I realized that you were going off to the fight alone. I'm like, oh no.
Man, I really badly like. One's not stupid. He knew he was outnumbered. He was making a gesture. That's flat out what he was doing.
Oh yeah.
But I fucking badly wanted to just be like loose on those three commanders.
That would be bad. That would be bad.
It would have been. We would be dead. But
Yeah,
it would have been.
Would be dead.
You would have died with
moment would have been
satisfaction.
Yeah.
The fact is, with the way that they are, we just have to. And this is something that Valorant will explain much later in much less non-private situations. But Valorant's current thought is they don't want to expand. We just have to wait until we finally have the upper hand. If they are bad, which, you know, we don't know. We don't actually know yet. Valorant is torn on things.
If they start provoking, like, you know, you get a problem.
Yeah, well, I was gonna, after we discussed, I was gonna have a better moment with one about that. But anyway, so because Scott, you jumped up to leave right as Neil's phone rang.
My phone rang, so I was like,
we're alone.
Oh, that's funny.
Okay. So yeah, so you finally thought of a name for the nation.
yes, well, we thought it might be easier to refer to ourselves as something.
Oh, indeed. It was just interesting hearing it from the first time from the leaders of Vigil.
Well, you might have heard it firsthand if you hadn't disappeared.
Touché. So what have I missed?
First, I think a toast is in order.
Yes.
Rayron would raise his glass to a battle well fought and enemies not made.
Indeed.
He looks at one as he raises his glass.
One just drinks, but he doesn't raise.
That's good enough.
What he does say, though, is he says, speaking of a battle well fought, when you dropped Rayron, you should have seen I threw you out of the fire and then with my other hand turned and removed Orsugo's head. It was glorious.
Neither of them saw that. It never happened.
Wait, he wasn't already dead?
Hey, all the archers seen it.
With the snowball, I thought he was dead.
He's an orc. You can't kill him with a snowball.
Well, that's why I hit the axe and the chop.
He definitely carried on standing.
Oh. Can you do
Yes. I
Yes,
didn't
I
see
can.
that?
Oh.
Oh.
Well, I didn't see much after because I was engulfed in some form of fiery inferno.
Oh, so that's what this one was. Pointing to like the gear we got from the other guy. I assume we don't have that corpse in with us.
No, God, no. Jeez.
Yeah, so pointing to the pile of gear we got from him.
One starts laughing, then he goes, "Yeah, this one tried to run away, and then I just ordered all the crossbowmen to come together, and we caught him in a volley." He just starts laughing. And he's like, "Coward."
Good. I'm glad the bastard paid. I think I still have a bad bum cheek.
Our men, they did very well. I'm very impressed.
They did. They deserve a good word, maybe a reward. We'll have to wait till we're back in Kurzful for that, I think.
I think we should throw a feast tonight with anyone who is able. For, like you said, a battle won, and to show that the people of Kurzful and the people of Baron share something.
Well, I
We have
agree.
Osugo's head on a spike as a centerpiece.
While I agree with it on the face of it, he grins. There is a problem that we've brought simply rations to survive. Throwing a feast
That's
now
been
would
plenty
mean,
of farms.
it would mean impeaching more on the people of Baron. We should ask them. We don't have the power to throw a feast here.
I think they would need to be the ones to throw the feast rather than us.
Rayron, maybe you could use your fancy words and try and convey that then.
Fine. I will get you a feast, and you will not come to blows with these vigil.
Yes, they wish to. They view our laws. I'm sure you know which one I'm referring to as barbaric, and they wish to prove themselves right about that. When it comes to you, and he's gone. Where'd he go? When did he leave?
I had a feast.
Yeah, like he turns around and does that whole speech. Turns around, and he's just gone. What?
Luckily, you were saying it as he walked out the door, so he heard it. But then he was like, "But he's gone." He was
Yeah. No. So, did you hear all of the speech?
No, I missed it.
Okay. He was saying that they view our laws as barbaric, specifically the one about a Lady Arabelle, and they wish to prove themselves right by prove themselves right and us wrong by coming here and aiding, and then also I am guessing this is he believes at least a part of the reason why they're here is to try and figure out who is the one who is pushing for the law and provoke them to prove that they are barbaric. He'll say that in much nicer terms because I started talking well and then I got interrupted and my brain is farting.
So their goals are what? What do they want?
They want to prove that that Lady Arabelle is not what we say she is.
Lady Arabelle is a snake.
They wish to prove that the ones pushing that law are barbaric.
Fuck them.
The only way where this situation works out well for now is to not prove them right.
So you want what from me?
To not come to blows with them today. Out tomorrow. Maybe in the future.
We're going to
realize
meet.
If they insult me, I'm not just going to stand there and let them do that.
I don't believe they will insult you. We will not allow them to insult you. that is not something that is remotely okay. I think they will talk in terms about Lady Arevale in such a way that will try and provoke you.
We are going to be meeting with 3 of them tomorrow evening, including the commander.
That is, correct me if I'm wrong, because I'm trying to remember from last session, Scott. The commander is one of the 3 heads of Vigil, right?
He is one of the 3 heads, yes.
Yeah. Okay. So on that note, the commander, they have a similar setup to Perendale with their leadership, similar to ours in a way, where they have 3 leaders. The commander is one of them. He is the leader of their military.
Oh dear.
There's a little bit different in that there are 3 leaders, but one presides over
under one.
I was about to get onto that.
Okay, my apologies.
Yeah. No, he's the leader of their military. There is another who is. What was her name? Sorry, what was her title? The other ones.
She was the stand-in. There's also a high priest. You haven't met him
high priest.
yet. You haven't met him.
That's
yet.
right. There is a high priest, and then there is the vigil, who is their leader, and she has been a ruler through the curse, and the leader before her as well. And seeing like the look from Rayron's like, yes, that did worry me as well.
Peculiar. They must have some form of power if they are able to rule through the curse, in which case we should be careful as well.
Indeed. And I would give a vague location of where they are based on where I think Vigil was, because I doubt I could predict exactly where it was.
You guys probably have maps with you, but you don't have your maps, the high quality ones you typically have.
Yeah. I would just like point it. So the good news is they do not wish to expand. They have hidden from Perendale and expected retaliation from Perendale, but it has not come. I hope that this remains their tactic. We may not have to deal with them for some time after today.
So, help me out here. I'm still unclear. Why do they want to meet with us? Why are they here? Why did they take you? Like, what is their purpose of being here?
I got caught in a crossfire between their soldiers and a witch who redirected a spell that they were casting onto me.
All Lady Arevale worshippers are sneaky cowards.
The witch... the spell would have killed me. They stopped. This is what they have told me, and what I saw myself was the casting of the spell and the shed between me and the witch. They did nurse me back to health, but they did so in a cage, a rather restrictive one. Once they realized who I was, they pardon me, took better care, and once I was conscious, which took some time, I was allowed to take one of their homes of one of their commanders. What was his name?
Actually, Cedric, the one that's outside.
Oh, of the commander's home to recover from my state. And then I met with them, with the vigil, and a stand-in for the high priest, as well as the commander. And they offered me a choice. They were going to return me to either Cursefall, or they could return me to you with aid, as they had heard about the coming fight.
But what do they want? They obviously have clear objective for this. Like, what is their end game?
They want peace. If they establish a rapport with us before we discover them, then they have a much greater chance of surviving than if a large growing nation that outlaws their faith stumbles upon them in the woods.
Exactly. The specifics of why this encounter has gone the way it has, other than the initial start, is because of our law against Lady Arabelle.
Alright, I'll go. I'll listen.
Thank you. One.
Remember, one, if an ant insulted you, you would ignore it, for it's below you.
He looks at you and he says, I would stomp it.
I'm not sure. You know, ants move very fast, actually.
I would try.
You remember at some point in time during this conversation of the sealed scroll case that you were given.
Right, thank you. Sorry, I had forgotten about that. There was also this. It was meant for us from Vigil. And I will, first of all, detect magic on the case to make sure I'm not opening the trap. Kill us all and thus solve the problem for them.
Yeah, that would be rude.
That'd be spooky, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
'Cause they've not been rude at all, accidentally or otherwise. I'm sorry we zapped you, King. Oops.
Oops.
Whoopsie.
Happy.
My apologies. There is no magic or anything like that on the case now.
Okay, then I will open it, pull it out, and lay it on the table in front of us.
Oh, no. Didn't check whether there's magic on the scrub.
I assume detect magic lasts, so I would open it and then see no magic and then lay it out.
You find out that this is a report to the commanders of Vigil from a paladin by the name of Erwin Emmerich. This report is entailing all of what had transpired since they were given this specific task to go and retrieve Elliot after they discovered that he was taken into slavery. Or likely
He was taken into slavery.
After it was discovered he was likely taken into slavery, the attempts to go and retrieve him, the trek that they made, where in Hodgwen they went, the name of the person that they had met up with. They use an abbreviation because they specifically said the undercover agent in Hodgwen, so they used literally just a letter. They didn't use the whole person's name. And then the trek over to outside of Hodgwen, where it was that they had the Mole ruins that they were using. Their battles that ensued down there, how they narrowly escaped, surviving, not killing everybody inside the place, but retreating, taking Elliot with them, and then going back to Hodgwen and being smuggled out so they can head back to Vigil. And the reason why the report was not hand delivered is because instead of going to Vigil, him and his compatriots were heading directly to Kurzfall to bring Elliot back home.
Oh.
One turns to Raymond and says, so this seems like the group Dwayne tasked with retrieving Elliot.
Why is this paladin working for Vigil? I would really like to stay not in their debt.
That was what I was hoping when I made sure
We are not in their debt.
Clear that this would win no favor with either of you. This
Certainly not with me.
Well, like I said. I did not wish to let them play on my forgiveness. That is why I attempted as best I could to delay things until we were together. I learnt what I could, and then saw an opportunity to help save some lives. Knowing it would come at a cost, I hoped not too much of a cost. And hoping that then we could resolve this some way without complicating things further. Though this does indeed do complicate things further.
Indeed.
They also gave me new clothes. And I'm sure you've noticed the sword in my gear that I am very much not capable of wielding. But it has the sigil of the martyr on it.
Upon seeing that, Scott, especially with my background, it's a bastard sword, right? Is that?
My apologies.
Sorry.
It is a bastard sword. Mm-hmm.
Do I know that is the Lady Aravel's favored weapon or whatever it is?
Yeah, of course. Mm-hmm. Definitely.
So I turn around and say, they mean you insult by giving you this, Valorant.
I'm not so sure. But I'm also...
The bastard sword is the favored weapon of servants of Lady Aravel.
There was definitely some irony in what they gave me. And I will actually, this is the purpose, I will say the always be vigilant and then poof, shield. Mm-hmm. That is the only way I can use the magic that they gave me swiftly. I'll dismiss it, say a prayer to them even. I don't intend to use that unless it is life or death.
Better death.
There's a bit of a, I don't know about that look from Valorant.
I would have to disagree.
They played on the fact, and I must be truthful about this, that I am not the biggest fan of our entire what I'm trying to think. I'm bad with words. What's a word for like complete and utter
failure?
No. Like getting rid of something. The basically the law of
outlawing.
Thank you. Our complete and utter outlawing with such extremes of Lady Aravel. They played on the fact that while those that have followed, and I'll gesture to Raren, your god have in fact committed crimes as well, doesn't mean you are the same. They talked at how judging one based on all is not always the best.
Very well.
Oh,
Tomorrow...
all based on one. I don't.
Tomorrow we must attempt to do our best to present a united front. I know our opinions differ on this, so we must meet in the middle. Vigil, we will trade with, but no more. The worship of Lady Aravel within our lands, from anyone who lives within the lands, is strictly illegal. Anyone who proselytizes within our lands, the words of Lady Aravel, is outside of the law. However, we will not attack Vigil.
Hearing you say that, and more or less reinforcing, like our laws are our laws, he puts his hand on Raren's shoulder and just looks at you and he just said, like, thank you, brother. He's like very, very appreciative of that fact that you're not caving. Not that it sounds like Valorant is, but he's more on that side of,
Well, I am meant to be the forgiving one, so...
Yeah, that's true.
I'm always going to be like that on the harshest of our laws.
Well, we've already punished a few people for it, so it wouldn't be quite right to go back on it now, would it?
No, I agree. Definitely. It's just... This whole situation is exceedingly complicated. I can't 100% confirm that their story of how things went down with me and this are accurate. All I know is what I saw and then what came afterwards.
That is fine. The truth of it doesn't matter. We have no way to verify the facts one way or another. So we will act as if they did cause your malady, however, also heal you of it. Therefore, we will thank them for their aid, and thank them for bringing you here safely. And then I believe that is fine. We will see what this Cedric wants, however.
Valorant,
Yes.
I believe you should give back the sword. It is yours to do with your will. You do not wield such a thing, and I feel like it is a tool.
I have an idea for it. Not so much dismissing it entirely, but maybe having one we know reforge it into something I may find more useful.
He nods at you.
That way it is not dismissing the gift, but it is also not acknowledging its entire the meaning behind it.
So I bought you this nice Lamborghini. Thanks. I took it apart and built a hot rod instead.
Well, yeah,
Oh.
when that person is trying to buy your
Oh, you did
you,
what
like,
to a Lambo? Oh,
if you actively said you disliked Lamborghinis and someone buys you a Lamborghini.
By the way, I can't drive, and they're like, I bought you a car!
Exactly. Yeah, actually, that's a good point. Yeah.
to teach you how to drive.
Yeah. But yeah, so it's the idea of
100 brake horsepower.
it's the idea of making it not a direct insult, but it's a message.
Hey, these are all questions you can ask Cedric when you speak to him, and you will speak to him after this break.
Choo choo! All about the brake train.